I just see Denise has made a comment on my photograph.
Yeah, you didn't get it quite right, Tim, but it was almost.
It wasn't.
Almost.
If you haven't seen it, I did a Vulcan wave, but not quite correctly. It was completely unintended. It was just. It's just a human wave.
It was good.
This is never more or less. Regardless of how it appears, as more or less. This is all of it. No exceptions. No exclusion. All inclusive. And so you might ask, how is it? Well, it's simply as it is. Too obvious. Too simple. And you can make of this whatever you want to make of it. It makes no difference. You could say an indifference to every difference. This always appears different. The sameness is what we can't speak of. We can only speak of different things. How this appears different. But the difference is only in comparison. Seems like human beings are made to compare, to judge, to analyze, to want to know. And of course, knowing is always about something, about some things in relation to other things. That's all that's ever known. And what we're speaking about, we're not speaking about something. We're talking about what all things are and aren't. You just can't say, because whenever we speak about this, whatever we say, whatever you've heard said, whatever you've read, can only be objectified. There's no getting around that. So this is wordless, but it includes all the words. This is unknowable, but it includes all knowing. This is inexplicable, but there are seeming explanations. You could say that all knowing, all understanding, all explanations, it may simply be obvious that they're empty. Just thoughts, just concepts, just ideas, just beliefs, just explanations, just stories. And then you can kind of leave them alone. They're just beautiful as they are, but they don't mean anything. And it's the absence of, oh, there must be a right description, a right explanation, a true knowing. That is the carrot that seems to be just out of your reach. And this is not about reaching. There's nothing to reach. Nothing to attain. But of course, there can be seeming attainment and seeming reaching. But of no significance. No one ever told me that insignificance would feel like love. Could feel like love. Surely love, I was taught, is in the mattering, in the caring, in the importance. In the relationship. But this that we're speaking of is not in relationship. It doesn't recognize relationship. Relationship is just the story of between two things. If you'd like to ask any questions or share anything, then put your hand up by clicking on the... Oh, Darren will tell you how to do it. or write something in the chat.
Yeah, I've just put in chat how you can raise your hand. Or if you really can't figure out, you can always just ask a question.
Yeah.
In the chat, Gigi says, do we have a role or a mission in this life, even if unintentionally?
No. No. So what's being spoken of is regardless of roles or goals or missions or paths, that includes all of them. That it's not they seemingly appear. It's just simply that they're not yours. There isn't any problem with going for a goal, but there does seem to be a problem when it's my goal. Because then it becomes incredibly important and significant to me. Especially if I've made the story around the achievement of that goal, of my mission, of my quest. If I've made that the be all and end all, then of course the failure to achieve that can feel dreadful for me. But no, this life doesn't have any goals, any mission. That's all for me. And it can sound dreadful and it can feel dreadful to self if the utter pointlessness, meaninglessness of life is seen or is obvious, then it can feel utterly dreadful, terrifying, groundless, pathless. But paradoxically, that is the liberation that we're speaking of. The freedom is that there are no paths, but they still appear. There isn't anyone on a path, but it still appears that there are people on paths, not going anywhere. There is no path away from here, or there is no arriving here or leaving, apart from the stories we tell about traveling. And again, paradoxically, then paths aren't a problem. Goals aren't a problem. Goals are only a problem if I need to achieve them.
I'd like to add something. Can you hear me?
Who's that?
It's Roberta.
Roberta.
I'm sorry. Yes, hi everybody.
Hi.
I wanted to add something there about goals and problems, because there's also a lot of cultural teaching, right from our educational system, where we are taught to kind of manufacture our goals, like decide on a goal and reach for the stars. And without that, you're not really a good civic member. And there's this imperative to kind of be a person with a goal and get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That is the cultural
Currently happening.
That is the cultural norm, that's for sure. Yeah, you can't really be prepared for saying to other human beings that you don't have any goals, that you don't have any purpose, that you don't have any, your bucket list is empty. But of course, that is the peace. The peace is in, oh, well, what do I need to be okay? From an imaginary future where I could be okay when my goal has been achieved.
Well, if I may add to, I was a nurse, part of my story. And when looking at health and human general health and what's best for human beings, and people will say, well, those who are healthy and live, connected lives and live with purpose and aren't lonely, and all of these supposed signs for healthy human beings.
Yeah.
Having purpose, or having even just an endeavor that you appreciate, like, I guess that's kind of what I feel like now I have to figure out, is like an endeavor that I don't get all seeking in, or I might have veered off the track of what I wanted to have said, but
Okay.
there does seem to be, emptiness can sometimes have this very vacant, unhealthy feel.
Yeah.
To me.
Oh no. Well, to self, well, I mean, this is a terrible message. So there's no doubt about it. It's terrible for me because I live in purpose. That's what I am. I am my life story and the journey that I've been on, that I am on, and that I can imagine that I will be on. That's where self lives in time. So for self, emptiness is the abyss, the void, to be feared. You know, they're words that strike fear into the heart of most human beings who have a conviction that they are themselves on a journey through time, in time, separate from everything, and that they are responsible for making their lives a success. Now, that's not the root of all suffering, but I have no doubt it is the root of most. So the wonderful news is that the emptiness that is so feared is nothing to fear. It is nothing. And nothing is everything. It's not that there is nothing that is the source of everything. I mean, everything is empty. There is no separation between being and not being, between is and isn't, between the relative things and nothing. That's non-duality.
Tej has his hand up.
Hi, Tej.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for taking my question.
You're
I've
welcome.
been struggling with something that I can't figure out. You know, a lot of non-duality speakers, especially the ones I like to listen to, their message, like yours, is very direct and very clear that there is no one to do anything. Not only that, but goes a step further to say, if you try to do something, you are just enhancing that separateness or, you know, going more on that hamster wheel. And I've struggled with that because let's say that I get this sensation of, for example, sometimes I'll get up in the morning and then there will be a big tendency to focus on this I-ness, right? This separateness.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's coming from the separateness or is it coming from the wholeness in a way of kind of showing or, you know, I don't know, whatever process, quote unquote, you know, so I struggle with that. Is that,
Yeah,
am I actually
can see
doing that and making it worse for myself, or is it happening on its own? Then I should just stand back, you know?
I know. I remember that dilemma very well, Tej. That's all familiar.
I know it's like,
I mean,
I don't know what.
that is such a catch-22 that self feels that it's in. So if I do anything, is it just exacerbating, and is it just confirming my ability to do something? You know, whatever I do.
Right. And you know, what I get concerned with is maybe I'm making the matters worse by getting stuck in separateness. On the other hand, if I actually try to stop it, maybe that's the separateness that's actually blocking that. So, you know, you're...
Well, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Exactly.
So I have got some great news on that.
I'd love to hear it.
You can't get it wrong, Tej.
Okay.
But there is some bad news that goes along with that, of course, which is that you can't get it right. But I mean, the liberation is that you can't get it wrong, because again, for self, there's the story of, okay, so if I do that, will that help? Or is that just confirming my sense that I can make something happen? You know, that's the sense of control and doership that But no, there is nothing wrong or right. So everything is absolutely neutral, Tej. So, and I mean, you say that, you know, the message, you know, the speakers you listen to are all saying the same thing. Well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But really what I want to emphasize is that there is already no self. So this is not an attainment. You know, I'm not saying that you can lose your sense of self. And that is what is often heard. That's what I heard most of the time in non-duality meetings. Whether it was said, whether that was the intention or not, that's what I heard as me. I heard that I could become whatever, a no one, a nobody, a non-self, whatever, however something different from this being me. Well, there already are no me's. There aren't human beings with a me and without a me. There are just human beings. And some human beings live with the conviction, this illusory conviction and felt sense that they are separate. The vast majority, it seems, of humanity have this conviction and felt sense of being imprisoned inside the body as a separate entity, a separate being. So rather than the natural reality, which is there is just being, which is beyond ordinary, it's me that makes my life special. So this is definitely not an attainment. In the losing, it may feel like a loss, but there is nothing to lose. So Tej, there's nothing to lose. That's the freedom. But the good news, the great news is you can't get it wrong, Tej. There's no one who's getting it right or getting it wrong. Isn't that the most wonderful, most liberating, most loving, most compassionate? No matter, the only thing that is wrong is your judgment that says it's right or wrong.
I get it. Those are just thoughts.
Just thoughts, just beliefs, just ideas, completely empty of. And I really, when I say empty, I mean of the utter, total insignificance of beliefs about that I could, you know, my actions will have. I mean, the arrogance of self is immense, immeasurable. The fact that self believes that I know if I do that, I know what the outcome will be. That's really all that self is ever saying to itself. It's a crock of lies. It's just dreadful. It's bullshit. Self never knows the consequence.
Sometimes I find this kind of really hilarious. This whole setup, right? It's just mind-boggling hilarious.
Yeah, it is. But there can be a real sadness because it is the end of all fantasies about what the future may hold for me.
Yeah, I move between extreme sadness to extreme laughter. So
yeah, and sometimes both at the same time, I don't doubt.
Right.
But yeah, but you don't. I mean, there really is no worry about getting it wrong, Tej. How wonderful that no one's getting it wrong or right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just happening. We are adding the thoughts on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with those either. Good, that's the other one.
Yeah, that's the hilarious part, because even that thought is the same everything. So nothing and everything. I mean, it's like.
So that's even funnier.
Yeah, that's extremely funny.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Tim.
Oh, you're welcome.
Avery has his hand up.
Hi, Avery.
Hi, Tim. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Great. If when it's explained that after realization, or whatever you would want to call it, there are no experiences, right?
Right.
So what takes the place of experience? How do you know anything? How do you know anything? Not me. Right?
That's good. That's good. That's a good question.
You don't know the answer?
No, you don't know.
You don't.
No.
So is there any difference between a beautiful sunset or a shitty rainy day?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah.
Who knows that?
Who knows? Good question. There's no answer. But the question doesn't arise. Because the only one who asked the question, who knows that, is I. I am the only one who would ever ask that question.
Well, I guess at the back of my mind, you've often said, we don't want this.
No.
And I'm just wondering whether I do either, in the sense that if I can't experience something beautiful, in other words, there is no difference between any experiences, what I experience at all.
Yeah.
I mean, none of it means anything.
No, it doesn't mean anything at all. Nothing.
I mean, not even as a feeling enjoyment or.
Oh no, well the thing is, there's enjoyment is naturally enjoyment. And it just appears and disappears, just like the sunset or just like the clouds. That's just how life is, Avery. I mean, it's just, this is just far too simple. You don't read too much into what is being said. I mean, what you're calling your experience or experience is just what's happening, that's all. And self will tell a story that without me, the experiencer, there will be no experience. The only reason I would talk about in the absence of self, there's no experience, is really because it seems I don't really talk about experience anymore, because the flavor of that word has a sense of it. In order for there to be an experience, there must be I to experience it.
Right.
But really, there's no difference. So whether there's a sense of me or not, there is only what's happening, and that is exactly the same whether there's a sense of me or not. I'm not talking about a radical shift in experiencing, in perception, in the natural way that a human being feels life.
So if you and I go
so there would be, the joy of a sunset would just be what's happening. But of course there is joy in a sunset, probably.
But in my case, it's happening to me.
Well, it's
It
not.
seems to be.
It's not.
I know.
It's not. But there can be that's really what we're talking about. That's the only thing that falls away: the conviction that I'm the experiencer of this experience.
Right. Right.
And of course, the thing that experience says is there is this happening as a separate moment, a separate happening, an event, because that's what experience says. So what experience does, it dissects this into segments of time. So because that's what the self needs, that in order to feel any sense of control, and that, okay, I'm managing life because I know that happened, then that happened. It has to be sequential, and there has to be, separate experiences. Well, there aren't separate experiences, nor is there even one experience. You can't really talk. I mean, that's all arbitrary. It's artificial. It's what self does with time and breaks up time into segments so that I can manage it. Otherwise, I haven't got a fucking clue what's going on.
So it's a flow.
No, even flow's too much, because flow needs time.
Right.
Flow needs to go from there to there, from here to there. It needs its movement. So there is, you could say there's only stillness, there's only silence, there's only unmoving, but all the movement still appears. You won't get it. It makes no fucking sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. How can stillness and movement be
The same.
not even one? Because you can't say one, because there's movement and there's stillness, but movement and stillness are not two.
I'm still, thank you. I'm still, just to finish this off, if you and I go for a walk down the river, right? And it's a beautiful, beautiful day. We're both experiencing, I mean, we're not experiencing the same thing, but we both have a feeling of enjoyment.
Yeah.
Just the same. But for me, it's happening to me. For you, it's just happening. Is that right?
No, well, the thing is, you can't say it's the same for me and you, because the other thing that is very obvious is that I can know nothing, absolutely nothing.
You could know nothing?
Of another's
No, I
experience.
understand.
So,
Right.
and so I wouldn't even, so the presumption again, so what I do, what self does is, okay, I know my own experience. I know it.
Right.
That's the illusion. You don't. It's just happening. There's no requirement of knowing, and you don't know what's happening. And then from that, I can then project that, okay, I can know what you're experiencing. There's no bigger bullshit than that. I'm suggesting you don't even know what you're experiencing.
Wow.
Let alone what the other person you're walking along the river with, what they're experiencing. I mean, again, it's the pure arrogance of self that I can, because I know what's happening to me, I can know what's happening to you. It's a very elaborate con that self weaves. This con of knowing, this illusion of knowing.
So to go into something else, when this actually occurred to you, this non-event, right?
Right.
Was it, did it just sort of strike you between the eyes, or did you suddenly understand it?
Neither of those.
Okay, of course.
No, really, neither. So there was no revelation. There was no recognition. There was just emptiness. I didn't find anything.
No, but you found the emptiness, didn't you?
No, because the emptiness isn't anything. So emptiness is the word I use. It doesn't mean anything. It really means that it was incredibly, terribly obvious that I didn't know what I'd said I knew. Everything.
So everything fell away and then we were left with emptiness.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's about as good a description as I've got. There was absolutely no recognition. This is, and I don't know how, and this doesn't mean anything. It's just just a story, but there was no recognition of the absence of myself. Not at all.
You didn't even know that you had emptiness?
No. No, I didn't have emptiness. I don't have emptiness. There is only emptiness.
Right. God.
And I will say, for a while in the story, for a while it seemed like that's all there was. And then you could say gradually it seemed to be full of everything.
Amazing.
But
I still don't understand how you can say that there's never anything to attain. I mean, I know there is nothing's attained, but there's definitely a difference.
well, the reason that I can say it with seeming conviction, with great conviction, that there is nothing to attain, is because there's only this. This is what we're speaking of, and this is can neither be found nor lost. So it can't be an attainment. How could this be an attainment, Avery? This all, you can't say it's already attained either. It's free, no charge, no effort, no work to be done. It's free already. Everything. So the conviction that there can be no attainment doesn't mean that there can't be relative attainment, of course. In the story, all attainment and all loss is storytelling.
Right.
That's what it is. And of course, those stories still appear.
Okay, I get all that. So if somebody is attached to self, right?
Now, Avery, there isn't somebody attached to self.
Right, the feeling of being attached to self, right? You're saying that that's perfectly okay too.
Well, there isn't anything that isn't okay.
Right. So in other words, why do we care? Why do I care that there's any place to get to, not get to, understand, drop off, become empty? What's the point of any of it?
There's no point to any of it.
So I might as well do nothing.
Yeah, by all means, do nothing. Do anything, do nothing. There is one.
It's all the same.
One is not. Well, it's not all the same. It all appears different. But I mean, essentially, this isn't going anywhere. So, you know, there isn't. You can't get it wrong, Avery. I mean, I think that is one of the because I'm often asked why I speak about this. That is one of the most powerful motivations to speak about this. Is I know how much I did that I said was wrong. I was, you know, forever questioning. I forever questions itself on its motives, on its intention, you know, whether my actions are right actions, whether my thoughts are right thoughts, right intention. Forever questioning, and that's endless suffering. Torturing myself.
Yeah.
In the vain quest to get it right, to get life right, that there is a right way that life should be. That my life should be. Well, there isn't my life or your life. It's just life as it is. And regardless of what you say about what's right and wrong, now that may still appear. That doesn't really require me to say, like everything else, self has claimed righteousness and good and evil for myself. You know, they're my beliefs, and I'm very firmly attached to those. But they can naturally appear. They just don't mean anything. It's very obvious that each human being has its own set of beliefs in morals and ethics. And there's amazing love and equality in that no one is getting that right or wrong.
Right.
There'll be ones that you agree with and ones you don't. And again, that's not your agreement or disagreement. It's not that there couldn't be disagreement. But all the weight and the importance of agreement or disagreement come from they belong to me. These are mine, and because they're mine, they're so precious. They're part of my very being. And so I'm willing to fight to the death for them. I'm willing to judge. I'm willing to be the jury and the executioner. Because I know what's right and I know what's wrong.
You're a beautiful man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Avery.
Anita has a hand up.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
Yeah, it's good to hear again that nothing is right and nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think at this moment there is a big mushroom in my how is that called? Refrigerator. So I'm not taking care of myself, and I also know there is no self, but
No, but there is a body that needs taken care of. Or not.
no.
So you're not been taking care of yourself,
Yes. Sometimes I really want that I never born it.
Yeah. Is anyone else taking care of you?
No.
No. Have you asked anyone else?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Have you asked anyone for help?
No, no.
Do you not want any?
Oh, yeah. but you know, in the past when I had this, then sometimes my mother helped me,
Yeah.
but she doesn't have a car anymore. She still wants to help me, but I feel yeah, then this I don't know how to say in English. But you know, there must be a moment that I am taking care of myself.
Yeah. It's okay to take care of yourself.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
Always looking outside for something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's okay, Nathan.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be inappropriate, but I want to express that I've been in that kind of a position before. If anybody can kind of empathize or whatever, I do understand deep levels of desperation and not wanting to go on as a story that rung loud for myself. And I also have been acting as a nurse in a psychiatric facility. And I take it I've been someone in the past then who's taken it very serious when people express deep, not self-harm maybe, but deep ideation of desperation. And I can only say I feel uncomfortable, and but you're not alone, and I find it's to feel to be in a non-dual community and have these difficult self stories presenting. I hope I didn't hurt anybody's feelings.
Thanks, Roberta. No, it's fine.
Thank you, Roberta.
Yeah. It's really okay that it doesn't feel okay, Anita. That's about as good as I've got.
If I may, I just would like to add.
Hi, Gia.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Hearing what Anita said, is that sometimes taking care of the body, leading a more or less healthy lifestyle, not being, how do you say in English, when you don't do any exercises at all? I forgot the name. So
Sedentary.
yes, not completely 100% sedentary life, not weighing 300 pounds, you know, sometimes it can dramatically change the way you feel, the way you live your life. So we cannot just let the body mind go as it wants. Once we see that it's taking a really wrong path, you know, it's past conditionings, the way you have been brought up, the way people have been talking to you, propaganda and all, television and all that stuff. Sometimes I think it is useful to lead just a simple, healthy way of life. You know, not eating too much, not too little, not being too much sedentary. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete, but, you know, lead a sort of healthy life.
That's
I
all
don't
very,
know.
that's all very sensible advice, Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. Well,
In the chat, Pam says, you've come to this meeting, Anita, and that's taking care of yourself. But it's good that you came and reached out here. Maybe
yeah.
reaching out to some friends wouldn't be, even if you feel like you don't want to, might be helpful.
Well, that's what you've done, Anita. That's what coming to this meeting is, anyway. You've already done that.
Yeah.
I'm more quiet now.
Thanks, Anita.
Thank you.
And know that, you know, there's nothing but love and wishing you well.
Vikash says, brave Anita in chat.
Yeah. Thanks, Anita. One of the reasons that, somebody's already mentioned it today, that I say that this isn't what I wanted. Of course, I wanted to feel joy and love and peace and happiness, and a little bit of ecstasy wouldn't go amiss. And I didn't want sadness and grief and loss and emotional pain. This message is, and what I'm speaking of, is an acceptance of everything, because it's already as it is. So there is no exclusion at all. So all the pain, all the things that you wanted to get rid of, they're free to appear. This is not a panacea. This is not. This is not going to make it all better. There isn't anything to get better. This is always appearing, however it appears. And if you have some fantasy about anyone you've ever heard speak of this, including me, but any speaker that you've got a fantasy about what their experience, their life is like, forget it. It's bullshit. There are no separate lives. There is only this. This is always exactly as it is, without exception. All the tears, all the laughter, all the joy, all the sorrow. Simply without the pretense that it could be otherwise. That's all I'm ever speaking about. The pretense, the illusion is that life could be other than it is. Well, it's not. That's it. Always simply as it is. It's the end of the fairy tale. Whatever fairy tales you've told yourself. And of course, enlightenment is a fairy tale. Liberation is a fairy tale. Awakening is a fairy tale. I'm speaking of complete disillusionment. It's dreadful for self. I held my delusions, my illusions of what could be. I held them so dear, all my dreams and hopes. And it may not sound compassionate, but the compassion is that they're just stories, fantasies. There is nothing going to happen. There is only this happening. Darren, have you just spotlighted the video?
Yeah, it came off and I just put it back on. No, it's been on. It's been on all the way through.
Oh, I thought probably.
No, it just literally
you
came
just,
off.
oh, I thought you just. Oh, I thought you'd just done it.
No.
Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks particularly to Anita for sharing how tough it is at the moment. This message has nothing to do with life being a certain way. This is always, of course. Oh, quick plug. If you haven't seen already, I'm doing a weekend online retreat in November the 20th and the 21st. So if you're interested, have a look at the details on the website, Tim Cliss this. And thanks to Annette and Lotta, they've already invited me back to Copenhagen. So it's not, the dates aren't finalized yet, but of course the tickets are gonna sell out after the amazing success of the last one. They're gonna sell like hotcakes. So, you know, keep an eye out in the near future. So that'll be late summer next year, I think. But thanks very much for coming, and particularly thanks to
Tim, what date did you say the retreat was in November?
the retreat, which Darren's very kindly offered to host me for the weekend again, is 20th and 21st of November.
Okay. Great.
So that'll be 3 meetings on the Saturday and 3 on the Sunday. Yeah, lovely to see you all.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tim.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Tim.
Cheers, Tim. See you later.
Cheers.
Thanks.
See you.
Tim.
Thanks.
Thanks, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, Darren.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Darren.
And Darren.
Cheers, Tim. Cheers, Darren.
Cheers, everybody.